My girlfriend's best friend tried to get me wasted and take advantage of me, but I called her out for it and now she says it was just a test. I, 30M, have been dating my girlfriend Olivia, 23F, for the past year. We met at a coffee shop near my office, which I used to go to get my morning coffee, and where she worked as a barista. I asked her out, and she said yes. Things have been great so far, and I feel we are compatible in terms of what we like and want from a relationship. She has a group of 3 girlfriends she is close with. These girls are always very welcoming to me, but they seem very immature compared to my friends. One of the girls is Harper, 23F. Harper is awesome, and we get along well since we like the same video games and music. Recently, Olivia and I were talking about taking our relationship to the next stage, and I asked her to move in with me. She spends 4 to 5 nights a week at my place anyway, so I asked her to just move in. For some reason, her parents are the most excited about this, as she is finally moving out of their house. She also told her friends about the same. On Saturday, Olivia decided to stay back at her parents' house to pack some of her things. Harper messaged Olivia and me that she and her friends were downtown and asked if we wanted to hang out with her. Olivia was gone, but she told me it was okay if I wanted to go out for drinks with the girls. I had nothing to do, so I joined them. It was all 3 of her friends and me, and we went to a few bars. We lost the other 2 girls midway, and it was just Harper and me. I was constantly messaging Olivia about what was going on, as I started to get uncomfortable with the situation. As it was getting late, I told Harper that I would arrange an Uber for her to take her home. She told me that she wanted to go dancing. At this point, she was visibly getting drunk. I called an Uber for her anyway. As we were leaving the bar, Harper grabbed my t-shirt and tried to kiss me. I immediately pulled back and told her that this was making me uncomfortable and I would let it pass since she was drunk. She apologized to me. As we were waiting for the Uber, she again started getting handsy and told me, "Let's go back to your place, no one needs to know." I snapped at her at this point and told her to please shut up until she got in the car. Finally, the Uber came, and I got Harper to get in. She kept on apologizing to me and telling me, "Please don't tell Olivia." Finally, her Uber left, and I tracked it on my phone to make sure she reached home safely. I asked Olivia to check with Harper's roommate if she arrived safely at her apartment. As I was walking home, I called Olivia and told her about what happened. Olivia was crying, and I was genuinely pissed at Harper's behavior. Olivia tried to call Harper at night, but her phone went straight to voicemail. In the morning, Olivia came home and told me, "Hey, it's all good, it was just a test." I was angry at this point, and I asked Olivia to explain what was going on. So, Harper messaged Olivia in the morning, saying that Olivia was really lucky and that I passed the test. I asked Olivia if she was involved in this, and she did not know that Harper was going to test me. According to Harper, she wanted to make sure that I was not a cheater before Olivia moved in with me. Hence, she wanted to see if I would accept her advances. I told Olivia that Harper is full of crap because she was drunk, and there is no way she was thinking straight. Moreover, when I snapped at her, she apologized and told me not to tell you anything. Harper is just trying to cover for her mistake and is giving a BS excuse. Olivia thinks I am overreacting. According to her, Harper is her best friend and will never betray her. Although the test was stupid, and Harper should apologize to me, she was just looking out for Olivia's best interest. Also, Olivia feels that nothing happened, so I should not make a big deal out of it. I just feel Olivia is naive and cannot see that her friend tried to get her boyfriend to cheat. I feel she is too immature to understand Harper's true intentions, and it is bothering me. I have never heard of anyone hitting on their friend's boyfriend to test the relationship, and it seems like the most BS excuse, and I told her to stay away from Harper if she wanted us to have a happy relationship. Update 1. Before I proceed to the update, let me address the issue that most of the comments were discussing. Yes, I am aware that there is a 7-year age gap between Olivia and me. It also does not help that I am a taller physically fit dude, and she is a short petite runner. I have dated girls my age, some girls slightly older than me and Olivia. I do not think maturity is a function of age, and I have dated girls my age who were way more childish than Olivia. Out of all my relationships, I have been the happiest in the last year with Olivia. She is not as academically gifted as I am, but she is ambitious and driven. She is a long-distance runner, doing 2 to 3 marathons per year, and is finishing her fitness training certifications. I am proud of her and how she takes care of herself. The relationship just works for us. Now for the update. Harper told Olivia that she was just testing me, and Olivia initially agreed with her explanation. We discussed it, and I told her my side of the story. I told her that Harper is bad news, but it's her choice if she wants to be friends with her. Olivia was more pissed at Harper for not telling her about the test beforehand and had her doubts about Harper's story. I decided to drop the issue since I do not want Olivia to be cut off from her friends group because of me. Olivia just couldn't get over the incident and kept asking me for more details every day. Finally, yesterday, we had a long discussion about it. I told her that testing someone's boyfriend is a very insecure thing to do. Doing it without telling Olivia was horrible because Harper did try to kiss me and physically charm me into coming to our apartment. My point was, if my friend ever tried to kiss Olivia and asked her to cheat on me, I would immediately drop that friend, if not do something worse. She understood that, but kept repeating, what if Harper was just acting convincingly and did something stupid, but not evil? She told me that although Harper is very promiscuous, she would never try to steal someone's boyfriend. She also told me that Harper has a type of guy she dates, and I am not the type of guy she would date. I don't want to admit it, but that did hurt my ego. Olivia just kept repeating that we would never really know what Harper was thinking that night. She may have been trying to test me, but got drunk and went too far. I told Olivia that maybe she should test Harper and see what was really on her mind. Olivia was confused, but went along with what I was saying. I told Olivia to message Harper that she was going to visit her parents' place over the weekend and ask her to meet for brunch on Sunday. Harper replied and said it sounded great, and they decided on a place to meet. After an hour, Olivia and I messaged Harper from my Snapchat with just a blank image and said, "Thinking about you." We waited for 10 minutes, and Harper replied with 2 revealing bathroom selfies. Olivia was beyond mad at this point, but I told her to wait and see what happens next. Harper then replied, saying, "Hey, Olivia is gone for the weekend. Maybe I can show you this in person on Saturday." At this point, Olivia was just trying to keep it together. She snatched the phone from my hand, took a selfie of her face, and messaged it to Harper. Harper started blowing up Olivia's phone with missed calls and frantically messaging her. Her excuse was again, "I was right about your boyfriend. He is a cheat. I was testing him to see what was on his mind." Olivia did not reply to any of her messages, and it took a while to console her. I felt bad for disrupting their friendship, but I knew what Harper was doing that night, and I felt she should not get away with it. Did I do something extremely immature for a 30-year-old guy? Yes. Did it feel good? Also yes. I feel any person hitting on their friend's partner deserves this treatment, irrespective of their age. I don't know if Olivia and Harper will patch things up in the future or how it will affect her friend group. Sometimes, I feel guilty for the fact that I went out for drinks with Harper and friends, and that led to this entire situation, but Olivia does not deserve to have her best friend betray her trust in this way.
Olivia's partner's friend is trying to seduce them, but Olivia's partner brushes it off. Imagine if the roles were reversed. Would Olivia's partner react the same way? It's concerning how some people have double standards when it comes to trust in relationships. If you can't believe your partner about something this serious, it may be time to reevaluate the relationship. Is Olivia being fair, or is she missing the mark?
My husband told me we got married too fast and wants a divorce, then almost in a post-nut clarity fashion, he said now he didn't mean it and wants me back. So I, 23F, had been with my husband, 25M, for 2 years, married for 1. On the night of the incident, we had an argument about the distribution of chores that I believe triggered it. I thought it wasn't fair that I was doing the majority of the housework, on top of being a full-time student at university and having a job. He seemed to think the chore distribution was fair and that I was overreacting. We came to a solution after all the events I'm about to tell you about occurred, but essentially, I was feeling overwhelmed and unheard, and he was feeling stressed and confused as to why I thought this was a problem. Later that night, we're discussing the situation again, and I express how it feels like he's not listening to me and how distant he's been lately. Then he says there's a reason for the distance, and I ask him to tell me why. He says that he thinks we moved too fast, he doesn't know who he is, and he wants a divorce. He says he cares about me but doesn't love me, and that he's been feeling this way for a while. Now, I've promised myself years ago that I would never try to make someone stay with me if they don't want to. So, as much as this hurt, I said okay. I cried, he cried. I did ask if he wanted to try couples therapy before divorcing, but he said no. We decided to sort out details in the morning, so I grabbed some blankets to sleep on the couch, and he went upstairs to bed. In the midst of my sitting on the couch, crying and looking up apartments, what felt like hours later, I hear him get up and come to the living room. He sits down next to me and just says, "I messed up so bad." I freeze when I hear this because I've barely processed the reality of what just happened, and I can already see where he's going next. I ask him to elaborate, and he says he doesn't want a divorce, that he doesn't know why he said that, and he's feeling the most regret he's ever experienced in his life. He says that he realizes he messed up and I don't have to take him back. At this point, I've experienced so much emotional whiplash that I've completely numbed out. I'd already cried all the tears I could. Now, I was just sitting there next to my sobbing husband, saying I'd take him back, even though I'd barely processed the fact that he'd wanted to divorce me. I told him I wanted couples counseling and for him to get individual therapy, and he agreed. I've asked him about individual therapy in the past, but he never wanted to until now. It's days later now. I've gone through all the stages of being mad at him, depressed that my marriage almost ended, insecure about myself, accepting the reality, feeling love for him, feeling numb. Cycling through all these emotions over and over again at random. We're searching for a couples counselor, but a lot of them have wait lists right now. So in the meantime, I just want to know, if anyone has been in a similar situation, does it get better? Does the trust ever come back? I feel like I can't trust him at all now. When he touches me, I freak out sometimes because that's not the comforting feeling I'm used to when he touches me, it's the feeling like he's suffocating me. I want to be here for him and help him through whatever mental challenges he's facing. But this has been affecting my work and my schooling. I left my dream school for him. I can't just keep prioritizing him above everything else when he clearly doesn't do the same for me. And yet, until now, he was doing the same for me. He's always been so sweet, buying me flowers, making dinner, going out of his way to make time for us. And before you scream abuse, please know I've been in abusive relationships before, and they felt nothing like this. He's not like those guys, this is the first time he's ever done something like this. I just don't know how we can recover. Any advice on how to get through this would be appreciated. Update 1. 1 year ago, I, 24F, Made this post asking for advice on how to continue with my relationship after my now ex-husband, 26M, betrayed my trust by telling me he wanted a divorce out of the blue and then changing his mind just a couple of hours later. As stated above, he is now my ex. Those of you who said that he would repeat the same behavior again, you were right. On New Year's Day 2024, he said he wanted a divorce, packed a bag, and left for a motel, then came back hours later. I'll admit, I was a wreck that day. I asked him if this was just going to be like last time, and he said no. I asked him if he felt mentally okay, and he said he felt fine. I got on my knees and begged this man to stay, not my proudest moment, and he looked at me with empty, vacant eyes and just left. I was in tears for a couple of hours, but then I opened this app to try to distract myself and saw that he had made a now-deleted post on the divorce subreddit about how he left me and felt bad but didn't regret it. Then I went from depressed to furious. I called my landlord and told him that I was getting a divorce and needed his help in changing the locks. My landlord was very understanding and helped me do so. A few hours later, I heard a knock on the door, and when I opened it, my ex-husband was standing there. I didn't even get a chance to tell him to leave because he immediately collapsed into my arms, sobbing. The first coherent words to come out of his mouth were, "You're not gonna take me back, are you?" Reddit, I would love to say that I'd rejected him right then, but I didn't. Even after all of this, I was still hooked into his web of manipulation. So instead, I sat down with him and had a long discussion about how much he hurt me, how in the middle of working to rebuild the trust that had been broken between us, he completely destroyed any progress that had been made and found a way to make that distrust even worse. I don't remember the details of what he said, but he always knew what to say to get me to feel sorry for him. The night ended with me saying I would take him back. He was smiling, saying he'd never felt so hopeful. He wrote me a love poem that night for the first time in years. Meanwhile, I had never felt so broken, and I told him that after he said he felt so hopeful. He shrugged it off and said I'd feel better in the morning. I did not, in fact, feel better in the morning. During the next few days, while I was trying to pick myself back up, study for finals, and continue going to work as if nothing was wrong, he went back and forth every day on whether or not he loved me, whether or not he wanted to be married to me. He said he thought he loved the idea of being a husband more than he loved me. My last straw was when I reached out to one of his childhood friends, whom I had interacted with a few times and thought I could trust to be honest with me, and asked him if he had ever noticed any red flags in my ex-husband's behavior in his past relationships or behavior towards women in general. This friend assured me that he had never noticed anything of the sort. I thanked him and asked if he could please not tell my ex-husband I asked that, since I was afraid of what he might do. When my ex-husband came home from work that day, I could immediately tell he knew. He opened the front door so forcefully. He sat down on the couch next to me, told me he knew, and said in a low and almost growling tone of voice, "But I know you didn't mean any harm by it." I was frozen in fear and couldn't say anything, but then he grabbed my face and turned my head to look at him. His eyes looked so cold, and he said again, "You didn't mean any harm by it, right?" I nodded and forced myself to answer, "Right." And I knew in that moment this man would unalive me if I didn't find a way out of this relationship, if I didn't off myself first with how bad my mental health was getting after dealing with him insulting and belittling me day after day. I was genuinely starting to spiral into a dark place I hadn't been to in years. The next day, while he was at work, I packed a bag, wrote a note telling him I'm leaving, and that I want his stuff out of the house when I get back. I left the note on the counter with my ring and spent the night at my mom's. It is an uncontested divorce, filing by mail, and should be finalized in April. I started the paperwork at my mom's house that first night of separation. Since ending my relationship, I have gone to therapy and realized just how abusive and manipulative my ex-husband was. I also understand how broken he is, but being mentally unwell is not an excuse for abusive behavior. What he did to me was abuse, and I'm not afraid to say that anymore. I have reconnected with old friends and made new ones. I have started doing things that I love again, things he never wanted me to do, like wearing red lipstick or eating mint-flavored things and going to concerts. I've realized I never want to be married again. I've discovered my polyamorous identity and have begun to explore this side of myself. I have plans to move out of my hated hometown that he had dragged me back to. I feel so much more joy, freedom, and self-love than I ever did when I was in a relationship with my ex-husband. Thanks to the support of hundreds of voices telling me I deserved better, I realized how true that statement was. I deserved better, and now I have better.
While I would still advise OP to swear off the traditional model for marriage, I would, however, she not swear off marriage completely. Like if she ends up with 2 or 3 bisexual guys in whatever polyamorous arrangement she gets into, and they all want her to marry them and they're just fine with sharing her with each other, then that would be a polyandrous marriage. Alternatively, if OP finds that she's both bisexual and polyamorous, she might want to marry into a polygynal arrangement where she's one of several wives for one guy. Finally, she could end up in a generally polygamous marriage, where there are multiple spouses from each gender, and she ends up one of 2 or 3 wives with 2 or 3 husbands. Yeah, I'd say that she should just go with casual dating for a year or 2, but she might want to keep her options open for later, like say when she's closer to 30.